let's talk about, maybe we can talk about Hazelwood and Cummins in a pair, because they've been incredible throughout this entire series. They've bowled their backs out. Hazelwood and Cummins have both been incredible on the field as well, and without them, I think Australia would look beyond pedestrian right now. I mean, the reason why Australia looks like a test squad is because of these two bowlers.
I was just about to say that without Hazelwood and Cummins, Aussies would have lost 4-0. I mean, prove me wrong on that. Come on.
I mean, we started the cricket surgery before the series saying we're going to lose 4-0. Prove me wrong on that, and then it's come back like this now.
But I mean, yeah, jokes apart, incredible series from Pat Cummins. I surely don't think he was the man of the series, because the man of the series is the one who is the man of the series, the one who changes it. Cummins was steady. Cummins was brilliantly steady. There's no doubt about that. He bowled his heart out, 21 wickets at 20. He always does that, right? He always provides a series at an average of 20, taking, multiple 5 wickets a match and everything. It's brilliant. There's no doubt about that. But his batting just fell away. That was one sure sign that I could see, that his batting has completely fallen away. I think the rigors of bowling are telling on his batting. But he's incredible. I mean, there are no superlatives too good for him. He is a Glenn McGrath who is 20 kilometers faster. So that's not a light compliment. But people say he's the best since McGrath, and trust me, there have been some fearsome bowlers who said. But based on the evidence of that series, I'm pretty much ready to concede that he probably is the best since McGrath that Australia had. But considering also the fact that his story is so ridden with so many injuries early on in his life, the fact that he kept bowling on and on and on, it's a tribute to his fitness, tribute to his courage. So very well done. But yeah, 8.5 out of 10.
I'm guessing that it would take a lot of effort on any fast bowler's body to be able to push 145 or 150. Even in the last day of a test match, after having bowled 30 overs with the kind of back injuries he's had, it's just incredible that he continues to produce.
I'll give you a number. I'll give you a number. Yeah. 162.1.
That's the number
of overs that Cummins has bowled in this series. That's average 40 overs a test match. Is he a spinner? Is he a fast bowler? How does he not break down? I mean, this is a guy
I honestly don't know if that's like a compliment on his endurance, or the fact that Chateshwar Pujara found a way to get him to keep bowling so much.
I know that. I mean, true, but it's just that he was the go-to man for Paine every time. Paine needed a wicket, and he delivered. Touch wood. And he got Pujara out 5 times with absolute jaffas every time. So it's just his ability to bowl jaffas time after time after time that is just incredible. I mean, this is a rare entity. The mind keeps going back to the Joe Root ball of 2019 Old Trafford Ashes, but he kept producing that ball over and over again. You would think once in a lifetime is good enough, but he did that like 7-8 times this series. Incredible.
About Glenn McGraths, I feel like Australia now have 2 Glenn McGraths, and they've still managed to lose 2 back-to-back series to India at home. And it just blows my mind that Josh Hazelwood is also such an incredible bowler. I cannot understand how any team with 2 of these kind of bowlers can lose a single test match, least of all at a venue that they haven't lost in 40 years. Everything belies belief at this stage. But again, like, Josh Hazelwood was just absolutely incredible throughout the series. The direct hit he kind of scored to get Hanuma Vihari out. That was also absolutely stunning. In the middle of a spell, Vihari, I remember, remarked in an interview that he knew that Josh Hazelwood was in the middle of a spell, and in spite of that, to kind of go down at that speed, pick it up, and I think just speaks volumes to the kind of fitness that fast bowlers have around the world right now. I would give Josh Hazelwood a 7 out of 10. The only reason being that I think he would have traded in a little bit of the flurry from Adelaide for a little more impact in some of the other matches.
But what was that at Adelaide? I mean, why did he bowl that first ball with such fury? Please just explain
why
to me.
So much anger? I mean, like, just the first ball. It's just incredible. Again, like the first over that Gill faced from Cummins, the first ball that Hazelwood bowls every single time.
It's
It's just
incredible.
unfair. It's superhuman. It's almost droid-like. All credit to these two fast bowlers. It's absolutely
Absolutely.
amazing to watch them bowl. But
17
enough said.
wickets, yeah, 17 wickets at 19.35, and two 5-wicket hauls to speak of.
He would have wanted to make a bigger impact than he did at the Gabba, especially I think like one of Cummins or Hazelwood would have wanted to complete the job, and neither of them could. All credit to Indian
Another
batsmen.
another number I'll throw at you, 144.4.
It's the number of
Not
overs that
not his
Josh.
average speed. That's the number of
That's the
overs.
number of overs Cheteshwar Pujara made Hazelwood bowl in the series.
Yes, yes. So
The next person that we're going to talk about is
the one you had on the poster back there,
yeah,
right at the
and
start of the Border Gavaskar
and
Trophy.
and 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 to be honest, I still love Mitchell Starc. I love I all the things that I used to like about his bowling still remain. Other than like now my disappointment is pretty out there because of the fact that I don't understand why he doesn't bowl at the stumps ever. Like that is like the number one thing that really bothers me. It's one thing to be able to rip it out there at 150, occasionally target the body and make people uncomfortable. But if batsmen have started believing that this guy is never going to bowl at the stumps, they're just going to always find ways to score off him. There are two things about Mitchell Starc's performance. One is I don't think he's a bowler who should be playing all the tests of a long series under any circumstance, not least of all against a team such as India that are known to kind of make opposition bowlers
He
bowl
shouldn't
long.
have been playing at Gabba at any cost. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Or he shouldn't have been playing at Sydney if he wanted to play at the Gabba.
wherever, right? Like they managed him really well in the Ashes. He was given like one test towards the very
By
end. He
not
did
playing him. Yes.
exactly right. It's very important to also not have your fastest bowler bowl every now and then just so that he can retain that juice. I think Tim Paine again got carried away with having him bowl much longer spells. Initially, by the time he introduced even in Hazelwood, it was pretty late. It's a totally different story that even in the 13th over, Hazelwood will come in and he'll get those wickets. But I feel like, when you have Josh Hazelwood and Pat Cummins in your team, if I was captain, I wouldn't have any bowler bowl a single ball until at least like the 12th over, other than the both of them. I would start with them, or maybe like and the first couple of tests, Starc did get those wickets, so I get the
Yeah.
argument that he's with the pink ball especially, he's got that ability to take those wickets. But he was belted around the park embarrassingly at the Gabba by Shubman Gill, by Rishabh
Oh,
Pant. Cheteshwar Pujara belted him, towards the end at the SCG as well. I don't think there was any batsman left who was scared of Mitchell Starc by the end of the series. Personally, I'd give
absolutely.
him a 3 out of 10.
You remember how the series started from Mitchell Starc, right? Second ball of the series, Prithvi Shaw castled over, and we thought that all right, as you predicted, this might be the series that he really gets together, and just scares it. But I don't know what exactly Mitchell Starc is as a bowler, to be very honest. Even after like 255 test wickets, for someone with such physical attributes and such express pace, it's amazing that he doesn't invoke the fear that he should. I mean, a Cummins would invoke a fear of physical intimidation as well as the consistent bowling. Stark seems to be neither. And he might get away with lesser batsmen where they are afraid of coming on the front foot to him and all. But it's more or less something outside the off stump, hoping that it hoops in just like it did to Mayank Agarwal in the first over at Melbourne. But if that is not there, then for the rest of the innings, he seems pretty useless. And for someone who seems to have such an incredible Yorker in the limited overs matches, it just defies belief that he doesn't use the short ball often enough to scare the batsman, or if he uses, he just goes overboard and then gets belted around, like as you said, by Shubman Gill. So I think, as we said before the series, he should have played pink ball at Adelaide and Gabba, and he really shouldn't have played MCG and SCG at all. It just was detrimental. Again, 137 overs for someone who is using such wheels. That is criminal. That is absolutely criminal.
And again, I think I must keep coming back to the fact that it's very important how you manage players. We talked about this during Cameron Green, and again, it's important to talk about it during Starc as well. There's a bowler who can give you 3 really good quick overs when you need a wicket, and then you have to get back to your primary bowlers all the time. And
11
people
wickets,
might,
11 wickets at 41, out of which 7 came in the first 3 innings of the series. and out of the 11, only 3 were top order batsmen. So yeah.
When you look at Mitchell Starc's career record, it's pretty good. He's got close to 250 Test wickets, and his average is not the worst. I think he averages better than
27.
Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, 27. He averages 27. Yeah.
So that's not a bad fast bowler, right? I mean, like Ishan Sharma, after the kind of improvement he's seen in his life in the last 3 years, is now averaging 32, and he's a phenomenal fast bowler. And here is Starc averaging 27, and he doesn't even come close to the kind of impact that Ishan Sharma could make right now.
I think it's about getting top order wickets, right? With his pace, he's been seen, and I think the records are there to show. He averages some 38 against top order batsmen, right? Top order batsmen, he averages somewhere close to 38. Now, he does pick up a lot of cheap wickets, one would say, and he's got some work to do. And I think again, maybe he's not an all conditions bowler like a Pat Cummins or a Josh Hazelwood is, and I think Australia need to just accept it and not pin their hopes. Bowling him in the first over every single time, I think it at times it just hands the advantage to. It was just encapsulated by the 20-run over at Brisbane in the fourth innings chase at the Gabba with so many cracks. There's a 21-year-old just killing the fastest bowler in the world probably at the moment.
I think it's important to also mention that arrogance at this point, maybe perhaps not that of Mitchell Starc, but maybe not so much as arrogance as ego. I think Tim Paine and Justin Langer both would have imagined that with
He would
this
run through the
fast
teams,
bowling quartet, get Mitchell Starc to steam in. I mean, that's something that Aussie commentators love saying. He's just steaming in, and I don't know what he does with all the steam, because
it got
like
blown off by
using it to iron their clothes, right? So I don't know what he does steaming in all the time, but I think Australia took it for granted that he was going to come in and he was just going to blast India out. And in spite of mounting evidence that was not to be the case, they did not let up. They did not change strategy, and I think a lot of blame again lies with the management for that reason itself.
Absolutely.
I think the blame for Mitchell Starc's performance squarely needs to be divided 3 ways. One with himself, one with Tim Paine, and the other with Justin Langer. Kind of go on to the other disappointment of the series. Again, like somebody that we thought would be a very crucial match winner, even until the very end. Nathan Lyon hadn't gotten the kind of performance in that he would have liked, even going into the Gabba. But even till the last innings, we thought that, fourth innings at the Gabba, 329 to chase. This is Nathan Lyon's moment. It is impossible that he would not be able to produce a result. And far off, talk about producing results. Every single batsman in the Indian batting order absolutely destroyed Nathan Lyon. And it was great to watch as an Indian fan, but at the same time disappointing to watch. Like a world-class bowler being taken to the cleaners like this.
He was on 390 Test wickets when the series started, and we thought it would be a mere formality by the time we arrived at Melbourne that he would cross 400. Well, guess what? He didn't cross 400, and the series has ended. Isn't that unbelievable? Like 9 wickets at 55.1. Has to be hands down the worst I've seen Lyon bowl, and I think 70% of that is due to one man, Rishabh Pant. There's no doubt about that. Lyon got Ajinkya Rahane early in the morning on 5th day at Sydney, remember? And then, Rishabh Pant was dropped by Tim Paine and all. We'll talk about that again in just, I think, a couple of moments. But the way he just shredded Lyon to pieces at Sydney and then followed that act up at the Gabba in the fourth innings, I think this is comfortably the worst Lyon has ever bowled in his career. I'm pretty sure of that.
I think it's also important to mention that you mentioned one man, Rishabh Pant. I think I would also like to give some credit to Rohit Sharma as well, the manner in which he belted Nathan Lyon. I think definitely that confidence and that calm passes on to the team that, this is a bowler that you can actually take on, right? I mean, This is a batsman, no doubt this is a batsman who has 5 World Cup hundreds in one tournament, but he's coming off a hard quarantine, a bunch of injuries. He's just flown halfway across the world and he's just met up with the team and he's come down the track and he's belted Nathan Lyon over long on for 6. So definitely the team would have gotten a lot of confidence from that and it kind of seeped through. But overall, a tragically disappointing performance by Nathan Lyon.
2 out of 10. 2
out of 10 is being generous, but we'll just give him those 2 points because Yeah, it's
And
Nathan
the
Lyon,
strike
right?
rates, he bowled 187 overs, 187 overs for
It's not
9
like he
wickets.
was injured. It's not like he was, his hip
Absolutely.
was. It's not like he didn't have the venom. It's not like he
Mm.
was inexperienced. It's not like there wasn't purchase in the field.
He was just
Even
tackled beautifully. I
even
mean,
Washington Sundar performed better than Nathan Lyon in the series.
yeah,
Uh, but
absolutely.
okay, I mean, Nathan Lyon has won a lot of tournaments for Australia outside of Australia as well, or at least like help them compete well abroad and at home. And this is, we can put this down to maybe one bad series, but collectively the Australian bowling attack would be very
So,
disappointed. Uh, I just want to say one thing. I mean, this is quite clearly the fastest bowling attack that I've seen in a while,
as a collective,
and
yes.
yeah, as a collective. And there's no doubt that these guys are skilled. But now these very bowlers have, there's a lot of blame obviously on the Australian batsmen as well, as only so much that the bowlers can do. But this series especially, there were a lot of opportunities for them to kind of put their hands up
Exactly.
and
To be honest, in
win
spite
this
of
one.
the Aussie batting being so pathetically bad, in all fairness, they should have won Sydney and Brisbane very easily. They were given more than 100 overs on both days, on both day fives, for the bowling lineup to run through the Indians. It was immense grit by us, and fairly disappointing. The fact that Siraj used those cracks so amazingly at Brisbane on day four, and none of the Aussie quicks could utilize it to their advantage is a telling statement on I think if we rate the Australian bowling unit as a collective, I don't think it would score more than four. And the fact that they didn't use their fifth weapon, who was supposed to be an equivalent, I think that was a bit shocking and a bit sad. Yeah.
I actually now wonder if India hadn't gotten all out for 36 and it ended up winning the Adelaide Test match, there was maybe a marginal chance that things might have gone the other way. Either way, it worked out for India.
I think that it makes for a better story, the 36 all out does. Yeah, so
And I think now it's the perfect time to also talk about the Australian captain, right? Because
the
we've
man of
talked
the
about
hour, the man of the hour, yes.
and we've talked about this 36 all out multiple times now. This so Tim Paine took on as a caretaker captain back in 2018. He's had like a pretty long run. In the last couple of years, his conduct was what has helped him stay at the helm, and even that has gone to the cleaners now. His performance, his overall demeanor, the manner in which he's conducted himself and led his team through this series has been nothing short of shambolic. And again, I think what really broke the camel's back was the fact that Tim Paine was never really, the captain that Australia should have persisted with for so long. I think he has gone way past his shelf
Same,
every day.
absolutely. Have to agree with that. Also, the fact that keep his batting aside. Firstly, I don't think he was the man of the match at Adelaide. He deserved the man of the match. Okay, that apart, chalo, he got it. But he's been found out in pressure situations as a captain on multiple occasions now. In a tenure that has lasted 3 years, he has succumbed to pressure at Headingley by taking terrible review calls and actually not having a review left when Ben Stokes was actually out with 2 runs to go. Then on the last day at Sydney, those strange intimidatory tactics where just a few balls on the stumps would have done the trick probably. And then the same thing at Brisbane. Uh, this complemented by his terrible keeping. He had an absolute shocker of a series as a keeper. I just saw that he's dropped 9 catches and missed 3 stumpings. Now I think that alone is untenable for a keeper. Leave aside a captain who has lost back-to-back series at home against India.
And this is a
So
captain who was in the team because of his keeping alone. I
he's
mean,
keeping
people say
alone.
that he averages 28 with the bat, which is like
Yeah,
shambolic again. Like because in the current
it's
era, for a wicketkeeper to be this bad as captain and to perform the way he did, and to then conduct himself the way he did, I think he apologized at the end of the series, but I think that was more because of the
I,
fear that his job was really in
exactly.
danger
and
now.
and that impromptu press conference post Sydney was more cringe than anything else. I think it was pressure speaking, and he's not been good under pressure for a long time. I think specific tactical issues have been found out here. Australia have never been known to be so defensive with the field setting, with their bowlings. They didn't seem to have a plan B when the batsmen got going. And I think delaying the declaration on the Brisbane test. I think if Australia had got like 25 overs to bowl on the fourth evening with the rain around at Brisbane with maybe 50 less runs to play, I think that's what Australian teams do. But here, I think they just let go of that advantage, knowing there was weather and all. Uh, for this bowling attack, probably 275 should have been enough. As it turns out, it wasn't. But I think they
I don't
missed
think that's the
that.
point, right? I think like it's the message that you're sending out every time as a captain,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
every opportunity that Tim Paine has had to lead in this series, he's fallen short.
He's
He had an
faultless.
opportunity to say that even if I lose this test, it's okay. I still want to give my bowlers the maximum
Yeah,
time possible, and he allowed them to get all out in Brisbane. If they
yeah,
would have batted on for another couple of hours, he would probably allowed that as well. So, this was a man who was willing to draw the game compared to win one after having lost a series at home, and
and
now Tim
I
Paine.
think I think that's the something that Australians would hate the most. He seemed un-Australian in his tactics. That
And
that's something unpardonable.
Tim Paine is now the only Australian Test captain to have lost two back-to-back, away series to India in Australia.
Yeah,
Uh, and I honestly do not understand how he can continue to be captain for the South Africa tour and onwards to that World Test
and
Championship
and
at
and
Lords.
no asterisks this time. There's no excuse this time. He had a full strength team at his disposal. It's just that he just flunked at resources, right? So I think Tim Paine square 0 out of 10 for me in this
Yeah,
series.
absolutely. I think Tim Paine is a big duck
Yeah.
this series. The other important culprit of the series, our final person that we want to really mention over here is Justin Langer. Now, Justin Langer loves making TV series. He's known to be a hard coach, and he was a very accomplished player during his time. So a lot of respect for Justin Langer, a lot of love for Justin Langer. Nothing to take away from that. But I really find it really hard to understand. There's one thing called fair play, where you acknowledge that the opposition has done a good job. But it's a completely different thing to make entire episodes of TV series just to be able to adore and dote on opposition players the way Justin Langer does. He constantly says that Virat Kohli is the best batsman he's ever seen. The Indian bowlers are somebody that you can always bank to kind of produce the goods. I don't understand why he doesn't have the same kind of confidence for his own team. And I don't know what kind of message he's sending to his own team by complimenting the opposition so much. This is not
I
the
just
sort of fair play I want to sign up for. This is not the sort of competition I want there to be.
I just think that Aussies would have been better off having Justin Langer in the middle opening the batting rather than having him in the change room. Strategically, psychologically, Aussies seemed nowhere up to the challenge. I mean, again, take the freakish 36 all out of the game. That was just the perfect storm that just happened one day. I think team selections throughout, were, I mean, just shocking. How could you have had the same four bowlers bowling in this COVID era, where the fitnesses are being stretched, players are psychologically being tortured everywhere, and he had just four bowlers, four go-to bowlers in a country that has so many riches of bowlers. Nathan Lyon, I could understand, he's like the sole leading spinner and all, but what about the three quicks? I mean, and impossible to believe that they were like 164, 144, 140 overs bowled by the quicks across four tests, in a lineup that had Pattinson to start with. Of course, he got injured, Michael Neser, and a lot others. And to add to that, he had Cameron Green in the team. So I don't know how much of strategizing Team Paine does, but Team Paine just seems to follow a script written by Justin Langer. And as it turns out in this series, it was a pretty poor script, below average script.
Yeah, well
So
said. Overall, I think Justin Langer's tenure as Australian coach, along with Tim Paine's tenure as Australian captain, have to come to an end at this stage. I don't think any captain or coach should be able to continue at the helm after losing two home series against any team. And now they've lost this series against a far downsized Indian team.
the asterisk is on our side this time, right? And still they
Exactly.
lost it.
There
And
is
still
no
they lost
aspect.
it.
I mean, we decimated them, and this is a team that has now had the confidence of the last 2 years. They have the confidence of drawing the Ashes series in the manner they did. They have the confidence of the incredible home summer they had last year. And in
Yeah.
spite of that, it's just an unbelievable result. Overall, I think.
I think we cannot ignore the fact that he got a 60% Warner to play. I think that's one of the big faults that he had get underutilizing Green, then just butchering his fast bowlers and
field placements as well, right? Even at the
yeah,
Gabba or like
strategy.
in
Yes,
PG, like all the players to Rishabh Pant were on the boundary. If you're trying to prevent Pant scoring boundaries or sixes, you're not going to be able to do that. He's still going to get sixes, right?
he's going
So
to get them. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just absolutely incredible that they refuse to challenge a player like Rishabh Pant, or at least push him on his limited technical uh, uh, you know
Brilliance. Yeah,
proficiency when it comes to kind of playing close to the bat. Uh, they could have done far more, or at least at least should have pushed the initiative a little further than they did. I think Australia was scared. They did not want to be on the losing side after having bowled India out for 36. It played on their mind. We got under their skin, and overall they flunked, like you said.
absolutely. Absolutely. 1 out of 10 for this series for JL as a coach. I think him and Paine have to bear the brunt of this. There's no
I
doubt
think
about
it's incredible that a couple of years ago, I would have never thought that Justin Langer would be a man so scorned, and Ravi Shastri's stocks would be at an all-time high. I cannot still
why
believe that
not.
he's an Indian coach who's now won 2 away back-to-back series against Australia, and there's nothing more you can say against Ravi Shastri. He can say whatever
Not
he
at all.
wants, as
Yeah,
always. You just have to listen to it. But really, I mean, this has to come. This doting on King Kohli stuff, and he's just the greatest Indian player I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, like that stuff has really got to stop now. It's
it
really
has to.
getting to us, uh,
It's
and
sad to
yeah,
see Australian cricket in such a state where it has to, beg with open arms to Indian
pander and
cricketers.
beg
I
for
mean,
this
we are
IPL
we
money.
God knows we are the greatest Kohli fans on earth, but even for us, this was nauseating. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just the IPL money, right? Like, and David Warner relentlessly just I mean, even on the field when the spider cams kind of come to you, you can just see that this is not the sort of an attitude you can have.
Absolutely.
I hate those spider cams, first of all, but that's for another day. Well, that sort of kind of brings us to the end of this episode. We're very glad that you've stayed till the end to watch this. Overall, as a collective, Australia is kind of, for me, has scored a 2 out of 10 this series as a collective unit, batting and bowling put together. I don't know what Adi has to say, but yeah, that's pretty much all that we want to cover today.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a pleasure talking. And please continue loving our work. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are a small channel. We are growing steadily, and it's all due to the love given by you. So I just hope that this one also satiates. We're trying new different things, and next week we'll get back to our legend series again. And we have a legend in store for you that we'll reveal over a period of time. So till then, goodbye. Have a great time. All the best.
All right. See you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.